Hey guys, I just have a ton of cubes waiting to be reviewed right now, but I haven't showed this cube at all on my channel yet, so I decided to tackle it first, and it's of course the new Gans Air. Now I was sent this cube by actually Gans Company and thecubicle.us, which I didn't really mean for that to happen. The Gans asked me if I had one and I said no, and then the same day the Gans and Cubicle sent me one, so that's just how it turned out. But thanks to both of them. Gans 356S version 2 was a very popular cube, but it was somewhat controversial. Some people really liked it and some people really hated it. I was in that second category. I did not like the Gans 356S version 2. So Gans decided to make a new version, solving some of the problems, trying to make it more stable, and one thing that they did that made it really different is they made it a lot lighter, and that's why it's called the Air. I want to be clear though, although it's much lighter of a cube, I wouldn't describe it as having an airy feeling. I usually think of an airy feeling as cubes that have large gaps inside the corner piece, and so you get this sort of clacky sound. This is a Waylong GTS. That's definitely not what this Gans has. It basically retains a pretty similar feeling when you're turning the sides to the Gans 356S version 2. It's really smooth and really quiet. Compared to the SV2, which I have right here, the Gans Air has a little bit less of a swishy feeling. And the reason for that is they've taken off these sort of lines on the centerpiece, or the corner piece. So you can see here on the SV2 there are these lines on the corner, whereas on the Air, it's just smooth, except for one little ridge right there. This improvement is really one of the few things that affects the feeling, at least when you're just turning it back and forth like this. Other than that, the feeling is pretty similar. Just a really nice, smooth feeling with a little bit of a snap to it. So the speed of this cube tends to be very fast, but it's really adjustable for a few reasons. So there's two ways to make your cube faster or slower, right? Adjusting the tensions, and then adjusting how much lubricant you have in it, or what kind of lubricant you have in it. And this cube responds really well to both. Not only can you tension the cubes individually just using the tensioning mechanism they have with these metal things, these metal tools that are included with the master version, or the plastic ones, but they also have this special set of spring pieces. I just want to talk about that for a minute because I know it's a little bit of old news, but it's really innovative and I don't want to miss it. So setting the Gans Air to the side for a minute, here I have a typical setup for how a cube's tensioning system works. So I have a screw, a spring, and a washer. And you can see here that there's going to be 3 different points of contact. We have the spring onto the screw, the washer onto the spring, and then the washer onto the centerpiece, like that. And because all those contact points have metal in them, you're going to need to lubricate all 3 of those points to prevent the slower turning of the centerpiece and that awful spring noise that you get from a lot of cubes. But what Gans has done is actually found a way around that with these new pieces. Each piece is made of plastic and has the screw inside of it. This means that there's only one contact point that can turn between this piece right here and the center. And since the spring is encased in plastic, it's a plastic-to-plastic contact point, and you don't even need to lube it unless you want it to be super fast or something. So you can see the spring inside of there, and it just squishes like that. And the even nicer part is this top part right here actually is the nut that screws it down. So there's not even like a separate screw or nut that goes on there. This whole piece is your screw, spring, washer, everything contained, and you don't even have to lube it. That's honestly just way better than anything we've seen. So I'll have to say that it's generally a fast cube, but you can change it if you want to. In case you're wondering, the setup I have right here, I have 2 different ones. This one has the springs that it comes with, which is the transparent ones, the colorless ones, and then this one has the slightly lighter ones, which are yellow. I've tried the orange ones, and they're heavier than the white ones. The yellow ones are the lightest, then the white, then orange, then red. And the orange ones were much too heavy for me, so I didn't even try the red ones. Personally, I would only recommend trying these 2. Beyond that, the corner cutting just takes a lot of force to get done, and I don't like it. But you might, so, you know, whatever. In my opinion, the biggest upgrade between the Air and the SV2 is in the stability. And by that I don't mean pops, I'm referring to the kind of stability about how the cube retains its cube shape. If we take a look at the SV2 right here, it's really happy to stay in this weird shape right here that doesn't feel right when you're holding it in your hands. It's not really a cube, and it just kind of can stick like this. This is really what I hated about the SV2 and why I just couldn't use it as my main. Taking a look at this Gans Air though, it can't. And I don't know what they changed to make it different. They added a torpedo to the edge, but you can't get both of these layers to turn at the same time so that the corners come up like that. It turns back into only one axis turn. Now, And I don't know what they did. It just works really well. They fixed that problem, and kudos to them. This cube is definitely a big upgrade to the SB2, and I don't think anyone's trying to deny that. That doesn't mean it's the perfect cube for you, though. Cube for you. This cube is definitely on the fast side, at least with the springs that I use, and you can slow it down with lubricant, but it's just generally going to be fast. And it can be a bit uncontrollable at times. Also find I tend to get some catches between the corners and the centers. Really not sure what's causing that. I don't know if it's squared off corners or just how I turn or something. I just sometimes get catches in my solves, and it's hard for me to even identify what's happening. My solves aren't flowing super well. Also, the solving style I tend to use with this is actually very similar to the one I had to use on the SV2 to get it to turn well. Something about the way I have to turn it pretty lightly without a lot of force, just kind of letting this turns happen, which is very unnatural for me. I'm sort of a very hard turning kind of a person. I use a lot of force. So I kind of have to do the same thing with this as I do with the SV2, which means that if you didn't like the SV2, you're not really likely to love the Gans Air. If you really hated the SV2, I don't think you'll love the Gans Air. That's what I'm trying to say here. You'll like it. I mean, it's hard not to like this cube. It turns really well, it's quiet, has great corner cutting, everything works well. But I doubt it will be your main unless you already had favorable opinions to the SV2. It just solves kind of the same way, even though it's much better. So with that said, no, this cube is not my main. Yes, it's fantastic. Should you buy it? If you liked the original Gans 356 SV2, definitely get this cube. If not, it's really expensive and you probably don't need it. So that's all for my review on the Gans 356 Air. If you're interested in this cube, check out the link in the description to buy it on the Cubicle. Thanks again to Gans and the Cubicle for sending me this one. Also thanks to Gans because they sent me this SV2 to compare it with, which was really nice to have. Let's watch some solves. Yeah.